So this is close enough, and I actually don't have you can say a range. Once I find it's pretty stable, then I go ahead and go to the next step, which is basically I come here, I hit the check mark, I end up having that where I'm able to calibrate or change the reading. I'm going to take it to 0.2, which is our standard. Hit check again, so my 0 is good. Sometimes you do get the fault right on there, but don't worry about that. Just go through the whole process.
Okay.
So next, what I end up doing is hitting the down arrow, and that'll put me in span, so that way I can be able to put the 2.0 standard in. So I come here, rinse this off, and I can just let that dangle there for a minute. Normally I don't pour none of them out until I'm finished, just in case I have to redo it again. And I got them marked on here, or had them marked. If I can find another one. But I was putting on there 0.2 and then 2.0 to make sure I didn't lose track of it. But since I've lost track of it.
Are those cough syrup cups?
No, they actually came with the fluoride analyzers.
Oh, okay.
Just calibration cups. But I haven't seen any yet that I can get out of the store. So now I already rinsed my probe off. I got my 2.0 standard in. I just set the probe in there. And one of the things to try not to touch the bottom of the probe or the sensor of the probe itself.
With your hand?
With your hand.
Okay.
Yes. So you can see the alarm light has went off for now. And what I need to do now, as far as my numbers, I just write in, it was a 0.23, and then we calibrated it to a 0.2. And then I'm gonna write my lot number for my standard for the 2.0 and the expiration date. And we're just gonna wait now to that stabilize. It's going up fairly good. Usually if it goes up or down fairly quick, that normally indicates a pretty good probe. You know, the new ones you put on there is like almost, you normally have to do initial calibration, and then you have to do like more like a trim calibration after like 24 hours. But if it's going up fast like that, you just go ahead and let it do its thing and finish it on up. But if you see that like it is now, if you see how fast it's going, but if you see it's going real slow, and after 5 minutes it's only like a 0.9, either the probe can be out of calibration, or it can be that it needs to be conditioned, or it could be bad.
Okay. So I have a question.
Yes.
Are we on a schedule, or are you doing it as needed?
Once a month. Once a month schedule.
Unless it needs it.
Unless it needs it like it did yesterday, which was able to use that as a monthly calibration.
Okay.
And I had set it for like the second week of the month. But it doesn't matter when you set it. I always like to do it either the first or second week, just so, you know, like Steve said, you know, give you some room in case something's going on.
Okay.
Now, the pre is not as critical as the post. So you can do without the pre if you have to. Say if you go somewhere and the post is not acting right, but your pre is acting right, and you don't have an extra probe, take it off the pre, put it onto the post. And you already know how to take these loose, correct?
I actually have not done it.
All right, well, we're still calibrating, but basically what you would do is come here and just hold the knotted part and just unscrew.
Oh, okay.
And it just come right on off. And then you just basically put a new one on there and move on.
Go through the calibration process with a new one?
Yes. I thought yesterday, because I had calibrated the pre, that by me switching over to the post, I would not have to recalibrate. But I had to recalibrate it again.
Just different conditions in the water?
Yes. Each analyzer is not conditioned, but each probe is a little bit different, and I calibrated it to that analyzer when the other one might actually be reading a little bit more, a little bit less as far as the millivolts. So now that appears to be somewhat stable. So my reading is going to be a 2.17. So I come here, click on that to calibrate it. I'm going to check mark to calibrate, go into calibration mode. Then I just take it to 2.0 and hit it again. Give it a few seconds. And what I have to do is I'm going to record that reading as well as after I calibrate it, what did it read.
Okay.
So it basically is reading a 2.01, 2.02, and it's going to continue to keep drifting up. So I would say probably like a 30-second time frame just to go ahead and just record it, because if you just waited for like a minute, you're going to be here for a while.
Oh, okay.
So I record my 2.17. And the stored value was a 2.0, and on my reading after calibration was 2.02. Now what I end up doing is I take it straight out of the standard while it's still in span, and turn this around a little bit so it drop right on in. I just put it back into my sample, let that stabilize. Once that stabilizes, I can either hit escape twice to go back into the regular mode operation, or I can just leave it alone and then time out and go into the regular operation. And that basically will conclude the calibration.
Okay, so it's done. No, it's in span. So you have to do what to put it back into regular? Hit check?
Well, that basically is what is reading after the calibration and back in the sample. So what I do is just hit the escape twice.
Oh, you did just say that, didn't you?
And now if I want to see what my reading is, I just use my arrow, or I wait till it goes through the display. And my final reading is 0.80.
That's going to be right. Or that's what it was before it drifted.
Yes. You'll find out that it reads a little bit different after you take it out of span. It's actually going to be reading what it's going to be reading.
Okay.
But I found out that sometimes I've had it in span, I had it while I was calibrating it, and then it timed out. It was reading something different on the sample, but it was reading it different for the standard. But when I put it back in span, calibration mode, it was reading a lot higher.
Oh.
So it wasn't actually reading the same thing.
Okay. This is a good number. 0.7 is the target.
Yes. And just so you'll know, sometimes I know I had to do it at water plant 4, and I also had to do it at water plant 1. If you calibrate and everything comes out good, but you see that their daily grabs are off, I think at water plant 4 it was like 1.2, and the grab was basically 0.8. So what you do then, if that's the case, you come here, hit the F for get in the calibration mode. You can scroll down till you get to offset fluoride, and then hit the check mark, and we're basically going to put a negative 0.4 in there. That's what we actually would have put in there. And that would have taken us, taking it down. If it was reading 1.2, it would actually start reading.
1.2 minus 0.4 is 0.8.
Yes, and that's what we would end up getting. So I'm not going to change it.
Right, but that was a good example.
So whenever I see that, every now and then I'll glance and look and see what they're actually reading, and just hit the escape twice to get back. But I'll look and see what they've been reading out, and I'll look at the analyzer. And if the analyzer is way off, I just go ahead and enter offset. And normally I make that notation on my calibration sheet, monthly calibration sheet. So that way it's always a reminder to go back.
This binder travels with you on the day that you're calibrating?
Sometimes, but because it's bulky, I
Okay.
normally just write it
take
in
the
a
paper.
notepad.
Oh, a notepad, just like we do everything.
Yes.
Okay.
Write a notepad and then transfer it back over.
All into the
Like-
binder when you get back.
Yes.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you, Isaac.
All right, no problem.